All right, welcome in everybody. American in Leeds, the YouTube channel. This is the Thursday night pod where we talk about just everything that's been going on the week. We usually have Jeer on. Jeer is on vacation, so let the man rest. Don't at him on Twitter. He took some equipment with him, obviously with him too on his vacation. So it's good to have some time off. So yeah, Jeer, travel safe, have fun. Michael is off as well, I believe, on vacation. Michael, if you follow Michael on Twitter, he's at Leeds Faithful. Michael is on vacation as well, but he had COVID and then he had his son's graduation, which is crazy too. So he's had a busy summer. Same with Nate. Nate's on some camping expedition. And then Brendan he texted out a picture of a beer in an airport. So he's traveling somewhere. So it's Chris and Alex tonight. And Chris was just talking to me about the American in Leeds. Where did I come up with that? I don't know. I can't remember. I'm in America. My wife and I are actually looking at going to a game next year.
Nice.
Hopefully tickets are a little bit easier to come by, as they say. I don't know. I was actually on a Twitter space, and I'll just say that there's some Twitter spaces where I'll join at like 8 p.m. in America, and like everybody in the UK is absolutely you guys would get lit up. It's just wild. And
I think I may have been in the same ones. Yeah, I think I may have seen the same ones. Yeah.
But she was like, the host of it was like, you need to call yourself American or Leeds in America. And I was like, you know what? Good point. But it's just a name. It's a name. I don't know. I was thinking about it. Obviously, American in London. I don't know. What's the Sting song? Englishman in New York. I don't know. It's just a name, folks. I love the club. How did I come to love the club? It's just, I'm from the Midwest, and my buddies challenged me. They were a Liverpool and Tottenham fan, and they challenged me to find a club. And they were in the championship at the time. Gary Monk was the manager, and I just said, "Screw it! This is my team." And just continued to fall in love with the ground, the kit, the fans, the one club city, the history of the club, the fact that they, the titles, just everything. And I've been more and more just dug in. I just stick with my team. It just reminds me of working class neighborhood where I'm from, Yorkshire. Like, I don't know. I just think I've met some people from Yorkshire too, thought they were very kind. So I don't know. Just love it. Like Leeds, I'm not turning back now. So it's like the club picks you. That's what they say sometimes here, at least in America, and I think in the UK. But yeah, that's kind of my origin story. Look, let's dig in. Hey, enough of that.
All right, that's
Smash
great.
Smash the like. I gotta say it, or lightly touch the like as you come in. It does. It helps the algorithm know that we're live. I haven't done a live in a long time. These podcasts have been pre-recorded, and then I launch them out later that night. But we can interact a little bit with the fans as well. So Disabled Team, always good to see you, my friend. You guys have great content, very level-headed stuff. I recommend people go on to the Disabled Team, subscribe, check it out. Fred, Liam, Martin, one of my favorites. I used to live in a brothel in Norwich. My bedroom window looked out on Carroll Road. Martin, my friend, you're one of my favorite people that get stuck into the comments. God bless you, my friend. So anyways, look, I guess the news of the hi, Mark. I guess the news of the day is really, it looks like I talked about in one of my other videos that there's stages to this, and it looks like this Daniel Farke is how I'm going to pronounce it. Managerial appointment is being reached to the second level, where we have rumors from official media outlets. So like a Sky Sports has released it in their vast network. We have some more legitimate journalists that have said that this is probably a done deal and going to be announced over the weekend or Monday at the latest. So we're at the second tier. We can start to say, okay, now this is legitimate. Farke is going to come on board. We can get stuck in. I have not done a keep sell loan video because I just felt it was worthless to do until we get a manager.
Yeah.
But maybe we can start to dig in on that. And then on the second half, if you're digesting this later, the second half will be, Chris and I are going to talk a little bit about USMNT fanboys and some of that kind of nature, like just the cultural differences, because obviously we saw a ton of Leeds fans go at USMNT fans, which is fine. And I just think there's cultural differences there. And I side on the Leeds fandom. I just feel like there's no balance sometimes in that USMNT, at least Twitterati, but we'll get into that later. Chris.
Yes,
we
sir.
talked a little bit about Farke, but like, what do you think? I mean, I've dug into some videos of his tactic videos. My hope is that he's kind of Klopp, but maybe not supported, at least at the top tier Premier League level. What do you think of Farke? Now that's more done.
Yeah, more done is the key point. I think I'm 90% there of like allowing myself to just, okay, he's the man. But yeah, still a little bit of part of me until it's official, a little bit hesitant. But I think there hasn't been any other discussion. No other managers. There really hasn't been anything else coming out since Vieira. I think he's already appointed. I think he's through the door. There's been some reporting that he's already been at the training ground, looking at how he could make changes, ideas regarding that, with Kinnear and Parag present. That's all positive signs. I think that also points to him coming in a broader role, more of a broader role than Javi Gracia was. To me, that points to like Javi knew it was just really short term. And so I think they're really making a commitment with Farke. And yeah, I think it's exciting. In terms of his style, I don't know a ton. I don't know a lot of the details. I haven't seen his teams play a ton. But from what I've read, the biggest difference is he likes to play with the ball and possession style, which would be, I think, a good thing to see for us fans, to see Leeds with the ball and see what they can do. It looks like some of the other characteristics, more of a situational press versus an all-out press, and having a plan to, when you do press, making sure the defense is covering, so you're not so susceptible to some of the issues we had last season where just quick changes by the other team's manager and they were finding, space on the wings, and it was a goal every time. It seemed like whenever we'd have some joy on the ball, and then as soon as they touched it, they'd go down and score. It was just too easy for them to figure out. So it seems like there's some differences and maybe a little bit of similarities, but I think overall, he's going to be aggressive. I think the whole plan this year is to be aggressive. So everything they do, the manager, their style of play, the players they're going to bring in, just be super aggressive, and should be fun to watch. I'm starting to get excited about that.
Yeah. An on-ball system is what Michael always said. We want somebody with an on-ball system, and there was not either installed or it wasn't present with Jesse Marsch. So like, I couldn't defend Jesse at that point. Like, he needed to have an on-ball system. Need to understand what players Farke fancies. Well, we know at Norwich he had a pretty. Pookie was somebody to me I actually rated because, like, we always talk a lot in the Leeds United world about Bamford's movement and how pressy he was and how great like some of his attributes are. And I always, like, you saw that he would occupy the center backs, free up the wingers, like just his presence being in the box. And then he would also play in people. He was pretty good at that. But when it came to him in front of goal, it was always streaky. So I think there does need to be maybe a signing or two in terms of the forwards Chris, what's your take on Bamford now that you saw him? You saw a season of him. It wasn't his best season, but like I don't know. What was your observations of him? You can be as
Well,
harsh as you want. I'm a Bamford neutral.
I don't really. It's interesting for me because I've already allowed myself to let some of those players go, so I'm not even thinking about them at this point. So one of the things that's interesting to me right now is the players that have been linked pretty hard with Leeds at the moment. So you have Nat. I'm sorry if I Nat Phillips from Liverpool. You had Sam Field, I guess, from QPR, and then Emmanuel Dennis up front. So what that tells me is they want to shore up the spine right away. That's the first thing, right? So like you have, and even goalkeepers. There's been some links with goalkeepers. So to me, that's really positive too. You want to get the spine taken care of. You want strength in the back, in the middle, and obviously a striker. So if they can do that, if that's some of the first signings that comes in, I think you start with that and then you work from there. Fill in some of the other pieces. I know Farke's system likes to use the fullbacks in the attack, while one's pressing forward on one side, the other one's laying back a little bit to cover. We missed that last year. Strike couldn't. He was fine at points with his defense, but he's not going to offer you anything in the attack other than just pushing the ball up a little bit. And then on the other side, it was streaky. Christensen, nothing. Ailing at times, but again, inconsistent. So I think once you get the spine taken care of, starting to look at other players around.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see if we can hold on to everybody. Not everybody, but if we can hold on to the key components, because I think a complete rebuild in the championship is difficult to do.
Right.
If we can hold on to some sort of spine, I mean, Rocca's been rumored to go back to Spain. I pretty much am writing him off to Betis, I believe.
Adams.
If you can hold on to Adams, if somehow, some way, and I saw another channel that didn't necessarily rate him going forward, but in a German style system, which this will be kind of a hybrid, gegenpressing system. The kid Tyler Adams knows how to operate within a gegenpressing system. He knows how to go one-on-one. The reason Leeds fell off last year, now here's me waving my USA flag, was a lot because of Tyler Adams. Like the cliff kind of started to fall. If you look at the graphics, was when Tyler went out of the club, and we became really open. I think we were conceding like 1.75 before, which wasn't too great, goals per game per 90 or whatever. And then when Tyler Adams left, it was like 3.5 or something crazy, or 2.5. And you're just not going to win any games. You have to, score over 2 goals a game to win, to get points.
Yeah, and there's been arguments with Tyler Adams too. With if you're bringing in a possession style system, just we know what his strengths are. He's a destructor. He's the destroyer. Sorry, and he's going to disrupt. Yeah, no. He's going to disrupt. He can connect. So if you're playing out of the back and it goes to the center backs, which from what I saw, Farke likes to give it to one of the center backs and then have one of the midfielders drop back to take the ball and then put it into the at the half line or above that. I think he could do that. I think he's a good outlet, but he's not going to be, just look at his numbers in the attack. He didn't have any goals, assists. He had some moments where he can put a ball out wide at moments, but he's not. He'll tell you himself, like that's an area he needs to improve on. Just being on the ball and being progressive. So
I thought he was able to break some lines last year. I just don't. We were spoiled. Leeds United had prime Calvin Phillips. I think he had a lot of. He just had a lot of games, and he played injured throughout the Euros in 2020, 2021. whatever that summer was. He kind of played injured. He put in a shift for England. He was England's player of the year. And he was able to ping balls. Like he had those long balls, and he was actually able to get forward a lot in the Southgate system.
Yeah.
And just Tyler's not like that. He's able to probably, he's got as much speed as Phillips did. He's able to get the ball off people and put in tackles and get stuck in as Phillips did. I think he's able to break a line or two, but those kind of like those long balls, long switch balls, like right at a winger's feet, he's working on it. I don't want to say he can never do it. I think he can. I think he's probably got a little bit to desire, on the ball in terms of his dribbling abilities too, but he's not terrible. So I just think I think he would do well in the championship. I think if we can hold on to him, if I think it would be pretty good because Jabby is a guy that I think likes to get forward. He can be. Cheer said he could break out this season. I think that would be a really interesting, player to have on our team. Obviously, way too good for the PL2. So I just think and Farke does like to play, from what we've seen, a 4-2-3-1. I don't know. I think that might be able to fit him. So. Yeah, to me, this this transfer window is more about who we can keep and sell on the project more than almost as who we're bringing in.
Who else do we keep then?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get greedy. So let's try to do this here.
What about Harrison? You think there's any chance? I'm trying to put myself in. You think 100%?
No, I just think that he's in his mid-20s. Premier League sides were interested in him during the during last season.
I think
he's
Harrison
been in the championship. He's paid his dues. I feel like he's gonna, if there's any kind of a release clause, he will try to leave. But it's maybe something you could sell on to him for 1 year and say, we're going to go right back up.
Well, I think he's one of the players, him and Adams are one of the two. And I think there's a couple more that the club is really trying hard to keep. They're trying to sell them on the project. I think there's players on the squad now they're letting go. They're not going to put a lot of effort into trying to keep them, but one thing I go back to is the 49ers were key in keeping Harrison over the January window. They really rate him, and I think Leeds was ready to let him go to Leicester, and they stepped in, really fought for him. So I don't know if that resonates with Jack at all. And Tyler's just seem to be question marks for me. I mean, it's highly unlikely they stay, but if there were two surprises, I would go there.
This is
more loyal, and they seem more loyal to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Jack's been loyal. Absolutely. This is something that I want to kind of question to the audience. Tony, the disabled team, in America, in our clubs have a lot of leverage, and they don't really, the players can want out, but if they're not in their free agent year, they don't have a leg to stand on. Like in the negotiation room, they can play up to their contract, but if they're playing up to their contract, they kind of feel like they get rewarded at the end of the contract. That's it,
And unless you are like an elite top level player in that league, you don't have leverage to hold out of your contract.
Yeah, and then somebody will come in and basically buy it out or trade a player, trade a bunch of young prospects for like a player like.
Right.
But in the NFL, it's like the worst. It's like, there's no way. Like, I'm a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs in the NFL. Like, there's no way the Chiefs will ever let go of Patrick Mahomes as long as he's healthy. Aaron Rodgers just got out of his contract or whatever, but he's almost 40. So those type of players get franchise tagged. Anyways, what my question is to the audience is really, what do you think about keeping players that want out, even though a club hasn't necessarily come in and paid for their, their release clause. In other words, keeping some players that might be unhappy. I mean, there's kind of been a saying, I think, in the football world that's like, you got to move on players that don't want to be here. But like, I don't know. To me, it's like that old, like that kind of demographic of like, or the, well, you got to be here because we're paying you. So if you don't want to be here, we will, you don't get paid, kind of thing. Like, you have no choice. You're here. And if you don't want to be here, like, you have to be here. You know what I mean? Like, you'll grow to like it, kind of thing, kind of like. And plus, if you perform here, then we can move you on in a couple of years. But right now, you've been a relegation. You're in this. You haven't proven yourself. Like, I'm thinking of like a Brendan Aronson. Like, Brendan, you didn't have a good season last year. Sorry, you're down to the championship. Like, don't know what to tell you. We still believe in you. We still think that you're a good player, but you've got to prove it here. And if a team doesn't come in, a team doesn't come in. Like, I don't know. I'm interested in that kind of like demographic. I don't know. I think how Parag handles this issue will be central, because most of these players, if you were to ask them in a vacuum with their manager or with their agent, they would say, I want to move on. So I don't know. What do you think, Chris?
Well, I support players for looking for opportunities. If you look at it from their perspective, just in terms of their career, they really have a short window. Really in terms of their career. So they want to maximize as much as possible, not just their earning potential, but also playing football at a high level.
Right.
Getting to the peak of how far they can take it with their talent. So I don't blame them for looking for opportunities. And I don't think that all of the players, just because they've been linked with loans or moves, are necessarily against staying. I think they're exploring what their options are. And I don't blame them for that. But there will be some who are like, no, I'm miserable here. This club's not for me. I want out. And that, to me, you have to be careful, because if they do end up staying or coming back, what does that do in terms of disrupting the locker room? The coach's ability to motivate the players. McKennie, I had issues with McKennie last year. Once Tyler got hurt and once the coaching change happened right away, and I empathize with him, because as soon as he came in, everything changed. From what he was promised, or not necessarily promised, but what he was sold. I can understand that, but from the noise around him and people who were talking on his behalf, whether that was true or not, it just seemed like he was unhappy. And maybe that was evident in some of the performances that we saw from him. He can be inconsistent, even with the national team and some of the club teams he's on. He can get injured quite a lot. So fitness is sometimes an issue with him, but yeah. And that, I'm not blaming McKennie for what happened last year or saying that he was disruptive in the locker room, but if your attitude goes at any point, it can cause, kind of a wildfire effect.
Yeah. It's almost like he was a bad luck.
It just takes one person, and it can.
Yeah, he gets here. Jesse gets fired. I mean, they play a terrible game against Forest. Jesse gets fired, which happens in football. Then immediately Tyler gets injured, so his best mate is gone, and then he's forced to play a holding role by which he doesn't really want to play or has, but you have to kind of suck it up. Yeah. In other words, and I thought he had a lot on the line. Like, he's not going to get another big money transfer like this. I don't think. I just look at the tape. He didn't play well. He didn't play well and Premier League is fierce competition. So
yeah, and things may have already been imploding from the inside when he got there. On some level. But I'm just saying, like, as a player, it only takes one person to kind of spark the attitude, and it it can start to poison the rest of the locker room if you're not careful. So
Right.
keeping players who don't want to be there, it's just a risk.
I don't know. I sit on the other side. I just feel like then you'll lose your spot. You don't get what you want. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how Parag negotiates that. And there's an excellent article by Phil Hay. I recommend you see it. It's just simply called Parag Marathe. I've been calling him Marath, but Marathe, the future Leeds chairman. It's on Phil's Twitter.
The Athletic.
Let's just go through this roster real quick. Meslier, what are you feeling about him, Chris? I mean, do you think he deserves another chance, or do you move him on? Again, I don't know who's coming in for him. Who would
obviously his stock went way down. The second half of the season. One thing I just remembered, right after the World Cup, he got really sick. He got mono. It's what we call it in the States. I think they may have called it something else in the UK. But he got mono. He got really sick. Do you remember that? And he was out for quite a while. And part of me wonders if he ever recovered from that fully. I'm not trying to make excuses, but obviously if he wasn't well, if he wasn't fit, they wouldn't play him. But I don't know. I don't know what happened to him because I know he had spotty performances and even in the first half, but he seemed to be in a lot better place before the January window. And the second half of the season was just not good at all. But as far as keeping him around, he's still really young. If he's got any self-awareness and wants to continue to develop, he may want to stay, or he may be willing to stay.
Yeah.
But he's one of the players that I've already kind of in my mind said he's gone. So I'm already thinking
at least
about
he's probably not starting for you. I don't know. He's the best shot stopping. He's a freak. He's a real freak. But he's young. He could sit, but he's a talent. So I don't know. I would almost keep him and then put him back on the bench again. But would he be happy? I don't know.
No, he wouldn't be. Based on how he reacted before.
Any players under contract that want down tools can sit or get paid. If the 49ers are so big and bad, they should have the clout to keep and get in any players. I believe in that. I think Parag's going to negotiate some good deals.
I don't think he'll just let them go.
I think he's going to let them go. No, if they really got to move on, if it's really he's going to get as much as they can. You're going to have to pay.
Yeah.
You're going to have to pay. Again, I think I talked about this.
He'll play hardball.
He'll play really hardball. And
he will.
He's going to eat money. I don't think some of these outgoings, this stuff isn't going to happen until the last week of August. He's going to wait until the last possible minute to get the best deal.
Well, he's also working with some of the contracts that he's been left with too, and you gotta sort through that. So there may be some bumps just based on what's been left on the desk from Orta. But maybe.
Grant Davidson says the relegation clause of losing 50% of your wages would make them want to leave. Yeah, they did it to themselves though. It's they were really struggling. I understand that they had 4 managers, but. Doggone. Long live Prince Meslier. I think he's a good shot stopper, one-on-one. He did not do some of the basics last year. Diggler says I would like to keep Meslier, but not if he really wants to leave. All right, let's run through some of these other positions here. Diego Llorente's already gone. Liam Cooper, the captain. Robin Koch, I've mentally thought of as gone.
Yeah.
Junior Firpo, I've almost thought of as gone. Some of these Junior just never worked out. He was either injured. There was only a handful of games where it's wow, Junior played well. Rasmus Christensen is rumored to be gone on a loan to Roma. Here's another player where I really want to keep him. Max Vober, and I'll give you a wild card, which is Stuart Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't know how that player is going to respond being out all season, but a player that I really liked, I used to call him the Swiss Army knife of Leeds United. You could put him anywhere and he put in a shift. Is he interested in going back down in the championship? He's a kind of a family man, but like if we're going through the list of I really, really want to keep, Vober is one because I think he's again another player in that Red Bull system where, but also German, like German style, knows how to press, okay on the ball. He had some terrible passes last year, hospital passes, that put us in some precarious positions.
Yes, they all did.
They all did, right? But I do want to keep him in terms of his communication skills on the back line. What do you think, Chris?
I actually.
Anybody here you want to hold on to? Anybody here you definitely want to sell?
I think Vober would be okay to keep. I think if you're bringing in someone like a Nat Phillips, like a Liam Cooper, could be a good backup. I think Ailing could be serviceable as a backup, given his age and experience in the championship.
You want to see drama?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is he going to pass up a chance to play in the Premier League? I don't know, but there's one name. Okay, I did want to tell you this. Okay, as an American, I don't know how much exposure Americans, they obviously don't get a lot of exposure, and I'm not going to pitch like every American to play for Leeds, especially after what's happened this year. But there's a right back that, and the reason I'm mentioning is because he's played for Farke at Gladbach this past season. He's only 20 years old. Joe Scally, right back. He recently played against Canada in the final of the Nations League, and he put in a crazy shift with Alphonso Davies coming at him, and he got the best of Alphonso on that night.
Interesting.
Really good left. He's 20 years old, like I said. I think he played over 30, started over 30 games, 30 matches for the Bundesliga this year.
Mm-hmm.
Just really solid defensively, can get forward, can put in a good cross. You know, like I said, the only reason I mention it is because he played for Farke last season. And,
interesting.
Yeah. And there's been reports from some of the reporters in the States that say so he just signed a new contract with Gladbach in April, but they may have done that so they could get some money back for him because they may think there's going to be offers for him. But yeah, there's been some reports out of the U.S. that he could be in for a move this summer. So he's one to keep an eye on for me, just because I'm more familiar with the U.S. players and they don't get a lot of exposure in the U.K. The only reason, again, I mentioned it is because he played for Farke and he put in a lot of minutes, did pretty well as a 20-year-old. So could be
Scally's a good shout. I don't know. There's a lot of young crop. So drama
would be good.
Carl
mentions
drama. Cresswell. We mentioned Jabby, Bate. I want to see what Joffy's doing back. He had a lot of potential, but he struggled obviously at Sutherland. And I don't know. I just think the youth is good. Joseph.
Cresswell would be good. Cresswell's a good shout.
Good.
Yeah.
Anybody here you really want to hold on to or you really think we should sell? We mentioned Tyler Adams. We mentioned Jabby as a breakout. I think Sinny's gone. McKinney's already gone. Greenwood. He's been moved on a lot. I think Gray's got potential, but he's only 16. Forshaw, I mean, people keep shouting Forshaw. It looks like he's going to come back into the side. It's just he can't play a full season. He can't play every game. So it's a thick and fast schedule. Aronson, I think, needs to go down, but I'm 50-50 on him. Rocca's gone. Harrison, I think, is gone, but it might be a sales job. Crescencio is one that I circle here. Crescencio and Tyler. If we can hold on to both of those players, they're just big. I think they're.
Yeah.
I'll move. We talked about Tyler Crescencio would absolutely cook in the second division. Go ahead.
Well, it sounds like Forshaw's sticking around for a year. I think in a leadership role, I think there's been mention of him looking at coaching in the future. So there may be an element of him staying to help him with that path. But JB for me, for sure. I think, and then the wild cards are Cine, Harrison, and Adams. And the other ones, I don't think Somerville's going to stay. I really don't. So that's it for me.
Rich is an Everton fan. Welcome. Yeah, there's a lot of rumors out there. It looks like you guys are going to sell some players and then come in for some of our players. We'll see what happens. I mean, that might be a lot of smoke. We'll see. I can recommend that Crescencio is legit, and obviously Willie's legit. If they're playing dice ball, I feel bad for them just because they'll be playing without the ball a lot. And I don't know. I guess you can do that, but they have the ability. But specifically, those two players have the ability to provide nice counterattacks. Let's see.
I was just gonna say I'd like to see Gray. I haven't seen a lot of him, obviously, because he was hurt all year. I'd really like to see him play at a top level. Just get some minutes, see what he's all about.
Any one of the strikers that you will, obviously Willie. I mean, look, Willie, Wober, Somerville, Adams. Am I missing somebody?
I would like to see Joseph and Rutter. I don't think Willie's going to stay. So
Rodrigo's moved on. I think if we can keep.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to say if we can keep two of the big five that I'm really thinking about, which is Nanto, Tyler, Crescencio, Max Vober. Yeah, I think that's 4 or 5. If we can, two of those, like if we have to sell Willie and we have to sell Tyler Adams, fine. But if somehow we can keep, I mean, again, Luis Sinisterra is like, obviously I would keep him, but I think he's gone. Like Rodrigo, obviously I would keep him, but I think he's gone. I think there's some bubble players here. Maybe you say Jack Harrison is a bubble player. Yeah. And then I was like with you, I want to see Ruter. I want to see Joseph, who's
Joseph,
not on here, but I want to see him. Perkins had some Europa League experience with West Ham. He put, I think, maybe an equalizer in last season. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think he played in one of the cup games. I think there's been a report he's on. They're looking at a loan for him, perhaps.
Yeah, but I'm honestly ready to move on from Paddy Bamford. It's the combination of the injuries and then not clinical. Like, you know what I mean? And now we're just talking about his movement and the stuff he does off the ball, which is great. But when you're a number 9, and you know this, Chris, being involved in youth soccer with your kids, you got to put that ball in the back of the net, man. You got to do that. When you especially the chances he missed on a plate last season.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know how many chances you get. How many not chances in a game. I'm saying like opportunities to start or play. He's earned some credit, I'm sure, with Leeds fans and but sooner or later you have to produce. Same thing with Aronson. I really was excited about Aronson coming in, but right away I just noticed like he's not producing. His numbers are no assists, no goals. Like, what's going on with him? And now to the point where the
whole rumor about him to Fulham is like kind of silly to me. I mean, like the rumor was 10. He was play the 10 at Fulham. I mean, you've said it yourself. His best position's coming off the wing. And when he's playing at the 10, like he got lost in the Prem because He just didn't know how to play with the bodies. He's really good at turning. He's really good
Yes.
at pressing. He is not good at the dark arts. Like, yeah, I think he needs to go down and develop, both as a fan of American soccer and as a fan of Leeds United. The kid needs to eat some humble pie and come down to the second division.
Yeah, I think he
But
can
we'll
do
see.
that. I think he can do that. I mean, he's proven that his whole career. He's always been playing above his weight, and he's only had 1 year in the Premier League. So I'm not writing him off, but he definitely needs to, just continue on his journey.
Yeah.
Let him get stronger and figure it out.
Yeah, Rich is making me have PTSD. His misses cost us. I mean, that's at least like 9 points I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Well, 3 wins that I'm thinking of that he just couldn't convert. He couldn't convert.
Well, if you have someone of his talent too, it's not just the games he was in and he missed chances. It's not being on the field because you're injured. That's not his fault, but like you still count. You need to count on players to be on the field and score.
You got to be available.
If you can't even be on the field,
you got to be available.
That's a knock.
We're past the scheduled time that I had.
Okay.
We can get I keep saying we got to do a USMNT kind of thing too. I think Gier's interested in that too, and it'd be interesting to see the Canucks take on that. But I'm satisfied that Farke is coming in. I'm satisfied that hopefully announcements finally coming. I think Farke has some weaknesses. I do.
Yeah.
I'll be very transparent in that. I think that he struggles with. I think he struggles in the Premier League because he got found out. But that doesn't mean that his brand of football can't be good in the championship, and he can get another chance to raise the trophy, raise the hardware this season. We got to get straight back in. We got to get training going. It'll be cool to see stuff coming in, but again, I think this window is about not necessarily who we bring in, but who we can keep. And then that's about it. I got it. My time's up. Chris, any closing comments? Yeah. Smash the like as you leave.
Yeah, smash the like. Thanks for having me. We'll see you next week.
You're the man, Chris.
All right. Thanks for having me, Alex.
All right. See you, man.
See ya.